Hello everyone, this is Senrex here from the Order 66 Hellions, and today I will be doing my 8th roster review on a player by the name of Furzy, and this roster review is going to have a new format when compared with the old roster reviews, so let's get right into it. First and foremost on the itinerary today, the account overview, the strengths and weaknesses, and the farming, we're talking about characters, Omicrons, and Datacrons here, are going to be from in-game footage now. So after this itinerary slide, we're going to splice into that footage and go over that stuff in-game. I think this is going to help because it's really going to help me streamline the process. It's going through it in-game is a whole lot quicker than me making a bunch of slides, writing up what I want to say about the slides, then importing photos to my laptop and trying to display what's going on in these few sections. I think it'd just be better to show you guys for the most part. And then after that, we're going to come back to my normal footage style, and we're going to do Grand Arena, mods and moving forward, as well as a who's next / update slide for myself, and a little bit of self-promotion as always. So let's get right into it. Hello everyone, and welcome to the first clip of my Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes roster review series. This is the first time that live footage is being incorporated into the roster review series, just to help you guys visualize the rosters a little bit well. Today we're going to be talking about Furzy, as previously stated, of the Order 66 Hellions. There's one thing about his roster that jumps out to me the second that I see it, and that is that 7-star Leviathan. He is doing extremely well in the Fleet Arena, which I would call a massive strength on his part, as Fleet Arena still, even though CG says they're going to delete it at some point, is a massive source of most people's crystal incomes. So while it's still around, I would recommend doing as well as you can in the Fleet Arena, just like our good friend Furzy here. We're going to go into his character inventory now to address a few things, but first I'd like to note that he is in Kyber 4, around 3,100 points. He has 3 Galactic Legends: Jedi Master Luke, Supreme Luna Kylo Ren, and Jedi Master Kenobi. Jedi Master Kenobi is an amazing Galactic Legend, and Supreme Luna Kylo Ren and Jedi Master Luke are both very solid Galactic Legends. So essentially what I'm saying is he doesn't have Sith Eternal Emperor, so he doesn't have a really bad Galactic Legend. So overall he's got 3 very solid Galactic Legends, which are a strength, and he's around 3,100 in Grand Arena, which is probably about as high as he's going to get with those 3 Galactic Legends, but I'll talk a little bit more about it in the analysis that I have. He has Wampa Omicron, Star Killer with 2 Omicrons, Captain Phasma Omicron, and he is currently working towards Jabba the Hutt, as you can tell from his Relic 5 Skiffguard Lando, his Relic 1 Chrysanthemum, and a few of these characters down here, Gamorrean Guard, Orc, or however you say his name, Bushlea. He is farming heavily towards this Galactic Legend Jabba. But now that I've sung a bunch of his praises, I want to go over something that personally irks me. Furzy has no Inquisitors, and he is actually to the point in his Inquisitor farming where he has put every single piece of gear on his Inquisitors and gotten them all to 7 stars without applying a single Chirotech to his Inquisitors. So he is hard stuck at this position, because in order to get any of his Inquisitors to the next gear tier, he has to apply Chirotechs, and he is not interested in doing that until he finishes his Jabba the Hutt farm. As always, I'm going to say Inquisitors are an absolute must-to-have, so I'd say not having his Inquisitors are a weakness of his roster, but in a short amount of time, he's going to overcome that because he's making great progress towards Jabba the Hutt. He's got a few really good teams. Well, a few really good teams to note here. He's got General Grievous and his Separatist droids, which are going to help him. His Darth Malgus is very solid. His Shock T and clones are up to a high relic level, so he's prepared for the Cam mission that we haven't done in over a year and a half. He's got Darth Revan and Darth Malak to Relic 9, obviously, for the Leviathan. Even with that information, they're very solid characters. He's got Darth Maul, Conquest character, that Wampa Omicron, Wat Tambor to Relic 7. He's got Shorty, Leviathan again, HK-47 Leviathan, and a few things that I'm noticing about his roster is that he's missing out on a couple key Zetas that I would have invested in if I was around his level. But like some of the other players in the previous series that I've talked about, I believe Furzy took a really long break from the game. So when he's coming back, he doesn't necessarily have the Zetas saved up that we would like to see, but he does have a lot of Zetas on some older characters. So let's talk about a few characters that I think he should farm that he has just not invested anything into yet. And all the way at the bottom of his roster here, we're going to start off with Boba Fett Sign of Django. Boba Fett Sign of Django from one of our newest members in the guild. His name is Qui-Gon Kenobi. I'm not going to say his real name because he did not get permission. He has his Boba Fett Sign of Django up to Relic 7 with a Scoundrel team. And now that I have seen this team in action, I am a firm believer in the offensive capabilities of Boba Fett Sign of Django. This character is really, really, really good for offensive purposes. And if you look at, his Scoundrels, overall, his Scoundrel faction is very, very strong. So he could pair his Boba Fett Sign of Django with his Grief Karga, with his Mandalorian, with his Dengar, with his Dash Rendar, the Han Solo, his Chewbacca, all of these characters, and he could have a really, really, really solid Scoundrels team with his Fennec Shand. All of these characters are going to give his Boba Fett Sign of Django a massive boost in viability. You don't need any of the Omicrons, but just having Boba Fett Sign of Django up to a relic level would drastically increase the value of this faction right here, the Scoundrels, who are kind of criminally underused. Next one we're going to talk about, this is a sin right here, Juhani. This man has Starkiller to relic. He has Emperor Palpatine to relic. He's got all of the key components of a good Starkiller team, except for the fact that his Juhani is sitting at, what is this, gear 7? Getting Juhani up to gear 13, taking her to Relic 5, and slapping that Omicron on her will take your Starkiller team from an A-tier team in Territory War to an S-plus tier team in Territory War. I would strongly recommend for your overall roster success getting your Juhani up to Relic, as she is a monster. All right, let's talk about, one or two more characters here on his roster that I think he would greatly benefit from increasing in gear-wise. Savage Opress is one of them I would recommend, as he is an amazing standalone character for offense and defense in Grand Arena. So just having him up to Relic, he's, a one-size-fits-all. You just take him to Relic, and he's working as intended. Sure, he's better with the Sith trio in them, who you don't have up to Relic quite yet. But overall, he is a character that you're not going to regret. Lastly, I'd say Iden Versio. Her ship is really, really, really amazing. And that's the core reason to get her up to Relic, because her ship on offense with an Empire fleet can easily steamroll an Executor. And I've even seen some people counter Profundity with Iden Versio's ship. So I would strongly recommend getting her up to Relic ASAP if possible, because she's just one of those characters who's amazing with her ship. Her ship does so much damage and is so pesky. And on top of that, when you get her up to Relic, you get a lot more value out of that Omicron in your Grand Arena Championships. She goes from, being kind of an annoying team to a really annoying team at Relic level, because when she's on defense, your opponent really, it's kind of hard to kill her effectively and defeat that team in one shot without kind of overcommitting to her. So if you get her up to Relic, it's going to put your opponent in a nasty position in Grand Arena where they're going to have to overcommit to kill your Iden Versio, which is the last thing that anyone wants to do. We're going to go through your ships a little bit and talk about this. Obviously, you've got all of your Leviathan ships here. Ships are looking very, very, very strong for the most part. You have the TIE Defender, like I said, for Iden Versio, all the way up to 7 stars. So she's probably already in your periphery, but once you get her up to Relic, this fleet is going to be extremely nasty on offense, as well as the TIE Interceptor, this ship right here. Once you take your Inquisitors up to Relic 7, you pair that with your Iden ship, your Empire fleet is going to be an offensive powerhouse. A few things of note. I like the fact that you have your Hyena Bomber, your Vulture Droid, your Rebel Y-Wing all up to 7 stars. A lot of high-level accounts simply don't, as well as your BLT Y-Wing Starfighter. When I released my Leviathan video, I got a bunch of people DMing me saying, oh, I just don't have the BTL up to 7 stars yet, which I think is just ridiculous. I really, really, really appreciate the fact that you took the time to farm all these ships up to 7 stars, because these pilotless ships are really, really, really effective. There's no pilotless ship in the game, in my opinion, that just sucks. They're all really, really good. So it's really, really nice to see a player who has invested time and energy into getting all 4 of those pilotless ships up. As for your capital ships, you've got Leviathan, Executor, Malevolence, Negotiator, Finalize, Endurance. One thing to note is since you kind of have a solid Empire fleet, I would certainly recommend working on either your Grand Moff Tarkin's Executor or your Chimera. I'm a little bit impartial to Chimera because Grand Admiral Thrawn, even though he looks like Elon Musk now, is a whole lot cooler than Grand Moff Tarkin. So just getting one of those ships up a little bit higher, maybe taking, one of those characters to gear 13. You're going to need both of them for Sith Eternal Emperor eventually. And working on those ability levels a little bit would drastically increase the viability of your Empire fleet, give you kind of a fighting chance against your opponent in terms of, clearing an Executor fleet with your off-meta Empire counter. The last thing we're going to address is Furzy's Datacrons. Before we jump back into some more analysis, first and foremost, I'd like to say Furzy has done a really, really solid job accruing these Datacrons. He has 2 level 9 Datacrons in the Archaic Rite set, and then no level 9 Datacrons yet in the Steadfast Resolve set. But for all intents and purposes, the only faction that's going to be really helpful for him to have up to level 9 for the Steadfast Resolve would be Jedi, because a lot of the other factions like Phoenix, Clone Troopers, and the Wookiees, most importantly, are just really not all that useful for 99% of the population. I think that the Wookiee Datacron is just kind of ridiculous. Bonus mechanics for Wookiee characters, great. What's that doing for anyone? It's doing nothing for me. It's doing nothing for anyone in my guild. So every time I see it, it's just a little frustrating. I know there's nothing he can do without spending some valuable reroll materials on it, but this new Datacron set, in my opinion, isn't all that when you compare it to the Archaic Rites Datacron set. We're going to take a look at a few of his top level Datacrons right here. This Archaic Rites Datacron has a really, really, really solid defense percent as well as health percentage, which is what you want to do when you're compounding it with the fact that it's increasing your light side character's health to begin with. So seeing a high percentage of health and protection on this Datacron as well as a good percentage of defense is going to make me think that this Datacron is really, really good because it's increasing the health drastically. On top of that, you're getting the health bonuses from the Datacron and some defense bonuses, and all three of those things are going to combine together to just drastically increase the survivability of your team. That would be a great Datacron to put on a Jedi Master Luke Skywalker team that would help you counter Jedi Master Kenobi. On the opposite end, since he's got Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, this Datacron right here is going to help him offensively a whole lot with the Sith Troopers bonus. Level 9 Datacron right here. Whenever a Sith Trooper critically hits an enemy, he gains stealth for 1 turn. Whenever he loses stealth, he gains that 30% defense penetration and 50% offense for 1 turn. Sith Trooper is a menace to society with this Datacron. It's not the best one we've ever seen in the world, but it's certainly really, really, really nice to have. Going through a couple of his Steadfast Resolve Datacrons, the primaries and secondaries that we like to see are basic. Whenever Light Side Ally uses a basic, they gain speed up, as well as whenever Light Side Ally gains a buff, they recover 2% health and protection. There's a few Datacrons like that are very, very, very helpful to have, particularly for teams like Padme and any team that runs off of a lot of buffs. It's really helpful to see that secondary stat, and I don't know if I've seen a couple. Yeah, here's it right there. Whenever Light Side Ally gains a buff, they recover 2% health and protection. This is a nasty combination. So Furzy's got a few Datacrons of each of the valuable primaries, I would say, for the Steadfast Resolve set. Overall, Furzy's Datacrons are amazing compared to 99% of the population. He's certainly doing very, very well for someone who's got 7.5 million GP in terms of overall Datacrons and Datacron strength. And it looks like he's locked all of his Datacrons so he doesn't accidentally sell them as well. I didn't even know that was a feature. But let's go ahead and get right into this footage of Furzy's let's get right into some footage of Furzy's Grand Arena Championship history and talk a little bit on how he might be able to improve that. All right, hope you guys enjoyed that in-game footage. First of all, we're going to talk about Grand Arena Championships. I kept the Grand Arena portion in this format because I like to be a little bit more analytical about it. And compared with the other stuff, this is kind of where you want me to be analytical. So first of all, what's going on here? So when Furzy joined our guild, he was about 1,000 GAC points lower. Right now he's hovering around 3128, I believe, but he's a little bit stagnant around 3,000 to 3,200, which is fine because if you look at his 3-month progress, he's up almost 1,000 points. I believe there was a streak in our guild where he went 20
4 straight Grand Arenas without taking a loss, which is absolutely absurd to think of. And right where he is at right now, in the Kyber 3, Kyber 2 range, is probably about where his roster will max out with only 3 Galactic Legends. There's really not a whole lot of places to go. So stagnating around this range is fine. So if we're going to talk about why he's stagnating, there's 3 real reasons as to why. First and foremost, the low Galactic Legend count relatively. I mean, at this point, I'm in the same range as him. Having 3 Galactic Legends is just rough. As every single opponent you're getting matched up against has 6 to 7, and you bet your bottom dollar they have Jabba the Hutt, which is extremely infuriating. Second would be his lackluster mod score, which we're going to go over in a few seconds. Furzy's mod score is not terrible, but it's not amazing. It's an almost 3.0, which is, not really where we'd like it to be at. So if he increased his mod score a little bit, I think that would improve his overall Grand Arena Championship score. And lastly, just not enjoying 3v3s. His 5v5 performance is typically a lot better than his 3v3 performance going through his Grand Arena Championship history. And I get it, 3v3 is just not as enjoyable, and it's a lot more frustrating. And like I've said so many times before, Galactic Legends make 3v3 Grand Arena such a pain in the butt compared to 5v5, as the power of these Galactic Legends is artificially inflated because you just can't get the damage output in 3v3 that you could in 5v5s. So it's just frustrating to deal with Galactic Legends in this game mode, and I get him totally. But right where he's at, this is an extremely good GAC score for someone of the 7.5 mil GP range. I'm sure he's probably lower than 90% of the people in his bracket in terms of galactic power, and just almost certainly dead last in terms of total Galactic Legends. So Furzy is performing extremely well for someone of his roster size. Now let's talk a little bit about modding right here. What's going on with his modding? So what's wrong? His mod score is a 2.74, which is lower than our guild average of a 4 point something another, 4.1, 4.2, somewhere around that range. And this is typically, well, in his case, this is due to his lack of 15 plus speed mods. He has a fair amount of 25 plus speed mods. He has a fair amount of 20 plus speed mods. Where he's really lacking is in the mid-tier speeds of mods. So he doesn't really have a whole lot of 10 to 15 speed mods comparatively. Typically, when you look at someone's roster, they'll have 6 or 7 times more 15 plus speed mods than they have 20 to 25 plus speed mods. And it looks like Furzy has a lot more 20 plus speed mods than you would expect someone in his mod score range to have, but a lot less 15 speed mods. So in his case, it's just a matter of farming up some more speed mods. He could use my farming god, he could not. It's just a matter of slicing, getting lucky, getting more mods, and most importantly, just accruing those mods over time. There's nothing that you can really do to crazily increase your mod score overnight, but just working on improving your mod score, 0.01 to 0.06 every week is all that we can really ask. And so far, he's been doing a solid job at getting his mod score up since he's been in our guild. Another important thing to note is that, as you can see at the last thing, his top 80 characters have an average mod score of 4.41, which is really impressive because that means that the top 80 characters in his roster have pretty much all of his good mods, which is exactly what you want to see. The higher your top 80 mod queue, the better you're more likely to do in Grand Arena as well as other game modes. So since compared to his mod score, Furzy has a really high top 80 mod score, then he's going to be performing a lot better in those game modes. Let's do a few updates. So first of all, I have been getting a really large influx of roster views, which is part of the reason why I'm changing the format up a little bit to make it a little bit easier on myself to get these videos out every week or every day with school and everything. First and foremost, I've got 4 people left on the list. I've got Skolasaur, Vince, Leo, and this ally code right here. So if you have requested a roster view from me and your name is not on this list, please do it again because I've just forgotten to put you on my list or missed you in my Discord DMs. A lot of people on Discord servers seem to @ me and request a roster view. If you need a roster view and you have my Discord, which is linked in a ton of my videos, just send me a DM and I will get you on the list. But sometimes when people @ me in Discord, they request them. I just can't quite get to it. A few updates. First of all, school's going well. I'm 2 weeks in. Have my first physics exam in a few days, so I'm pretty nervous about that. But everything's going really well. I've been getting a huge influx of roster view requests, as well as the fact that my channel has surpassed 100 subscribers very, very, very quickly. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what this means in the long term. Just first and foremost, I would like to get the channel monetized at some point, but that involves getting to 1,000 subscribers. So if you could please hit that subscribe button so that I can monetize this channel at some point in the future. But overall, I'm really, really, really appreciative and happy with the progress that I've made and that we've made as a community. My videos are getting a lot of likes, a lot of comments, a lot of discussions happening. I really enjoy the fact that when I look at my comment sections below and I go to like read y'all's comments and like them, a lot of people's comments have already been responded to by someone else or liked by someone else. So I feel like even though my YouTube channel is still relatively small, even in the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes sphere, there's a lot of interaction in the comment sections, which I really, really appreciate, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. So as always, I'm just looking to monetize this channel, and I'm going to keep doing this long term because my progress has been so great and everything's going very, very, very well. I'm happy where everything's at. So if you could like and subscribe to the video, that'd be greatly appreciated. I'm just really having fun making this content, and I'd like to see how far I can go with it. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. We got a little bit of self-promotion here. As always, if you like this roster view, I'm doing free roster views, so post your Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.gg in the comments below. As always, same 4 criteria as what I'm going to be doing. Last, and again, guild plug, Order 66 Hellions. We're recruiting, looking for some new members for territory battles. Got to be Reva ready, though. Discord will be in the description below. A little note, if anyone's still watching at this point, if you don't like the changes that I've made to this Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes roster review, please let me know in the comment sections down below. I read all of my comments. I'm responsive to everything. I just want to know y'all's thoughts, y'all's feelings, what I can improve on, what I should do, what I shouldn't do. If you have any suggestions, I've had a lot of people reach out to me with video suggestions, and I've been trying my best to get back to all of them ASAP. So I really just appreciate all the support I've been getting, and just always, as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope everyone has a fantastic day. I know my day is going very well.